So I have a question about the idea of working together. I wanted to ask about what's happened here in Sonoma County with the county's agreement with the Lytton Pomo. There are hundreds of us who are neighbors around this land, and I want to ask why. I know you were supervisor, and this might be for Supervisor Gorin as well. Why were the neighbors not offered a meeting, a public forum before this agreement was made? If this project changed in a major way from residential to commercial, 200-room hotel, restaurants, shops, a spa, entertainment center, 200,000-case winery event center, all next door to many of us. And again, it's personal. And why?
I appreciate that. So, and I really appreciate Ms. Hopkins and Ms. Hopkins and I and the family go back. We went to high school together. They live out on East Side Road. And would like to be able to talk about Lytton. So the Lytton tribe, they have a casino in San Pablo, and they also have indigenous land here in Sonoma County. And there has been a discussion before I was supervisor, when Supervisor Paul Kelly was in office, about the issue of Lytton development. And what Ms. Hopkins was talking about, and please, Ms. Hopkins, feel free to shout out if you think I'm wrong on this, is that for, since I was taking office in 2011, this was an issue. And in fact, Ms. Hopkins and I had an opportunity to talk last week. I'm sitting down for her sister-in-law tomorrow morning over coffee to talk about this exact issue as well. We held multiple meetings with neighbors in Windsor. Did we have a town hall? We did not. But we brought Bruce Goldstein out. We met with Deer Creek neighbors. We met with neighbors on Star Road. In fact, that is how I met Carnane Rebich, who now works in the office, by visiting her house. Went out and visited numerous homes.
We're on Star Road.
No, I appreciate that. So what the design had always been is to be able to build on Windsor River Road a subdivision. And it's extremely controversial because under the general plan, you would not be able to have that in the current area. So fast forward, last 2 years, there have been discussions with the Board of Supervisors, and I regret that I was not able to see that final deal through. And being very blunt with everybody, it's because I was elected to the state Senate. So there's been 9 months that has now gone by, and I cannot tell you the exact details of the deal that the county has struck. But what I will tell you is this, because I've not been involved over the last 9 months, but I'll tell you this. Just recently, there was legislation that was, and I told Ms. Hopkins I'd be researching this, on the Carcieri fix. And that Carcieri fix would do away with the 1934 agreements on the federal side related to tribes. And where the county has been, and I don't want to speak for the county, I'm just going to give my own editorial, where the county has been is making sure that they mitigate any potential impacts when and if or before it goes to federal. And so now there's legislation that's being brought forward by Congressman Huffman. And I will tell you, here's the challenge where I think locals need to be engaged. And I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure I get it right. So legislation actually has been introduced for the Carcieri fix, which means the 1934 date is wiped out, which would allow the Lytton tribe to be able to move forward.
But it hasn't passed.
It was just introduced. It is the #1 goal as they say, of Indian country on the legislative front. If this county, this is now my own personal opinion, if this county does not engage to try to mitigate impacts and legislation is approved, then we lose, when I say we, sorry, then the county loses all negotiating authority. So that is why, and that's been the biggest concern. And I believe the senator that introduced it is from Wyoming, and I can't remember his name at the moment. And that's a concern, because this legislation, which has been discussed for over a decade, by the way, would have an adverse impact to local governments. So the county, the town of Windsor has been discussing this. A deal was approved earlier this year by the Board of Supervisors. Congressman Huffman has brought forward legislation, and I will say, regarding the legislation is going to assist the leverage that neighbors have regarding concerns over the project. And I do think that there needs to be an engagement with Congressman Huffman on this exact issue. And there is going to be a referendum that's going to be coming up to be able to connect sewer and water. But that's where we are at. And then Ms. Hopkins talked about a hotel as well as a winery. So absolutely, the tribe is interested in bringing forward a hotel and a winery. Items have changed since I've been on the board. Where Ms. Hopkins was concerned is consistency with general plan. I don't want to put words in your mouth. In particular, on issues of zoning. And the way the county has structured this is that it has to comply with the general plan. And what I mean by that is it's going to have to go through the normal planning process. So if a winery project is approved, and I just talked with Jeff Brax ahead of this meeting, so who's county council, is that it would need to be able to go through the county process.
Is it
so
zoned
that's
No.
What's that?
It's not zoned properly.
It's not zoned.
So that is an issue that's going to have to be taken up with the county. And I'm not trying to punt, but I'll be candid. The state does not have authority over the project.
Is this historically tribe land, or did they just go out and buy it?
So they have been purchasing large parcels of lands on Windsor Road. So here we go. I'm going to go over to Mark.
He wonders if this was originally tribal land. My ancestors are Scottish folk, and for those who see international news, there was a referendum for my nation wanting to get out from under the control of the British Empire. Now, since I've declared that I'm a, quote, white man, I don't see any tribal or indigenous people in this room. Let's not forget who took their land.